Hi, it's Liz again, and in this video I'm going to talk about how to create an APA references page. Creating citations can be a bit daunting, especially if you don't know where to begin. So in this video, I'm going to talk with you about how to create accurate and useful citations while also avoiding common errors. It is important to have complete citations, as the reference page content should provide enough information for a reader to find the source material for himself. It is also important to have properly formatted citations, as the order of these citations will affect how the source is cited within the text of the document. I will talk more about in-text citations in another video. Before addressing how to cite specific types of sources, I first want to talk about the different elements of a reference page citation. In almost all sources, an author, if not several authors, will be listed. This will be the first part of your reference page citation. It will also be used later on for an in-text citation. When writing an author's name, always list the last name followed by the first and middle initials, if the middle initial is available. When using a source with multiple authors, the same rule applies. Divide authors' names with commas. These commas will immediately follow the period after the preceding author's initials. If there are 2 to 7 authors, spell out each of the authors' names within the reference page citation. List them in the order they are used in the document. Do not reorder them. Also, use an ampersand before the last name. If there are 8 or more authors, list the first 6 authors ending with a comma. After that comma, insert an ellipsis followed by the final author's name, excluding the ampersand. If no author is listed, move the title to the author position before the date of publication. This title will be used later in the in-text citation. Sometimes a book does not have an author or authors, but instead has an editor who compiled entries into a single collection of works. In the case of an edited book without an author, use the editor or editors' names in place of the authors' names. Then indicate the difference in role within the abbreviation ED or EDS, followed by a period. When citing a specific chapter or section of an edited book, list the author of that specific work in the usual author spot. After the title of that chapter, use the word in, followed by the editor's name, listing initial first, then the last name. The year of publication generally follows the authors or editors. It will be placed within parentheses, followed by a period. If there is no date, list the initials ND in place of the year. Other necessary information includes the title and any other publication-specific information. You only need to capitalize the first letter of the title, the first letter of the subtitle, and any proper nouns within the title. Do not capitalize any other words. One of the most commonly used types of sources is the scholarly journal article. As an SVSU student, you have access to tons of these resources through the Zahn-Hell Library databases. When citing the article, The Role of Nurse Practitioners in Reinventing Primary Care, we can see that it was written by Mary D. Naylor and Ellen T. Kurtzman in the year 2010. It was in the journal Health Affairs, Volume 29, Issue 5. Lastly, we need its page range, which is 893 through 899. Now look at the citation I've created. Note how the author's names, title, and subtitle are formatted as mentioned earlier in this video. Further note that the name of the journal and volume number are in italics, while the issue number and page range are not. Next, look on your article for a series of letters and numbers labeled DOI. DOI stands for Digital Object Identifier, and I like to think of it as an ISBN number for an article. It's a specific code that makes it easier for a reader to find that article later on. Look closely for these as they can be hidden on the page. DOIs are often found on the title page or towards the end of a document. If a DOI is available, include it in your citation after the page range. Simply type the letters DOI, all in lowercase letters, followed by a colon and the series of numbers and letters, exactly as it appears in the article. If a DOI is not listed, there are one of two ways to cite it in your article. If you are using a print format, one that was not retrieved online, you don't need any further information. This citation is complete as is. However, if there is no DOI and it was retrieved online, you need to include a URL or internet address so that readers can find the source for themselves. Now here's where things get tricky, so pay close attention. If you retrieved an article from a database and it does not have a DOI, do not use the URL where you retrieved your document from. I repeat, do not use the URL from the database you retrieved your article from. It's very likely that your reader won't have access to the same database as you, or that the database information will change, so that link will become obsolete. Instead, use a search engine to find the homepage of the journal that your article was published in. Cite this URL so that the reader can find it or request the article in its original form. If, however, you find the article from a web location without using a database, copy and paste the URL exactly as it was listed in the search bar. The URL will be inserted immediately following the page range. Now let's look at how to cite a book. When citing a whole book, use one of the following formats, depending on if it's an authored or an edited book. For an ebook, include its URL or DOI instead of publisher information. When citing an entry in a reference book or a chapter in a book, include the title of the chapter or entry and the editor's names after the author's name and year. Any information about book edition, volume, or page range should be included in parentheses before the publishing information. If any of this information is not available, for example, there is no editor or there are not multiple volumes, exclude that information. If a reference work is not authored, such as a dictionary or encyclopedia, start with the title of the entry. For an authored article on a website, cite it just as you would a print article. You do not need to list the website as part of the entry. If an author is not identified, start with the title of the article followed by the date and the URL. Almost all sources used in the text of your paper should be listed on your references page. However, there are two exceptions to this rule. The first is for classical works such as the Bible and the Quran, whose sections are standardized across all editions of the book. The other is for personal communications, which can include letters, emails, interviews, and conversations. I will talk more in another video about how to create citations for these in the text of your paper, but for now, just know that they don't need to be listed on your references page. For more information on different types of citations, check out an APA publication manual. You can also check out the resources available on the SVSU Writing Center webpage or the Purdue Online Writing Lab. For more help, feel free to come into the Writing Center, where a tutor is always happy to work with you.